Hey y'all, it's y'all favorite cozy girl, Chi the Reality Queen, and I am back. Yes, that's correct. I am back with another episode of Robe Chronicles. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, the brand new season 6, episodes 1 and 2. Honestly, I didn't really think episode 1 had too much going on in it, so we'll probably breeze through that and then we'll get to episode 2. So, this episode started out with a video of the girls camping, and Mary is talking over the video. Angie pulls up to her house, and they had planned a trip for the girls to go camping, but they don't know that they're going camping in Angie's RV. Like, I know Angie was trying to get the girls together and be close, but I'm like, that's a little too close. I don't want to be in nobody's RV. I don't know why RV camping doesn't seem fun to me. Like, on any level, but hey, it's a nice RV. I just wouldn't want to be that close with anybody, right? But she plans the trip. Angie plans the trip with Mary. Um, and so she picks up Mary first, and then all the other ladies are waiting at Beauty Lab. We see Meredith, Heather, Whitney, Bronwyn, Brittany, who I don't know why she's there, but she was invited back. And no Lisa, right? So everybody's like, hey, where's Lisa? And Meredith's like, oh, Lisa's not coming. Now, I hear that there were rumors that her contract was still being negotiated, which is why she wasn't there. But some people think it's due to her lawsuit. Who knows what the real reason was, but she was not there. But then Heather takes it upon herself to let us know the current dynamics of the group since the ending of last season. Apparently, Bronwyn, Angie, and Whitney are all beefing with Lisa. Meredith is beefing with Brittany. Heather is mad at Bronwyn, and she doesn't know where Mary stands with anyone. It's funny because I still, maybe, I'll be honest, y'all, I did not finish up last season, at least the season the what's it called? I didn't watch the reunion. Uh, I just felt very overwhelmed by it, and I was done. Plus, I was very busy at the time, so I never watched it. So I didn't really know how they ended off. I watched the end of the season, but I did not watch that reunion. Um, for some reason, Brittany is there waiting in a bikini. Honestly, every time Brittany speaks, I'm just like, why is she talking? That is truly what I think. Anytime. It actually doesn't even matter what she says. I always wonder, like, why is she talking? Why is she here? I guess the people like her. That's why they brought her back. But I just feel so strongly against her. So I don't know. Anyways, so they get into the RV, it shows up, everyone's shocked. And all of a sudden SWAT shows up and the girls are like, what is going on? Like they think it's another Jen Shaw situation in which the police show up as they're getting ready to take off for a trip in the Sprinter. However, this time it's just strippers. Whitney thought it would be fun to hire some strippers to come and dance for the girls on the bus before they leave. Why? I don't know. I mean, it was just so random. I guess maybe she did want to do a little reminiscence of Jen Shaw. We're missing her. Free my girl, Jen Shaw. Um, but I don't know. Maybe that's what she thought. I don't get it. Um, but yeah. So, anyways, when they get on the RV, they're talking, and Whitney doesn't believe that Lisa is working. She thinks she just doesn't want to be there because of the lawsuit. Brittany tries to defend Lisa because now they're best friends. Or actually, I think Brittany, well, maybe they are good friends. I don't know. But I think Brittany might tend to inflate her relationships and dynamics with people a little bit. I mean, even the man that she's been running around with. Um, but anyways, they get to the campsite and it is raggedy. But in my opinion, like I said, I'm not a camper. Maybe it's beautiful to those people who camp, but they pulled up and I said, "Ooh, why are y'all there? Like, please go to a spa or something nice. What is going on?" Um, but anyways, they Brittany gives everyone a camcorder while the ladies are trying to eat lunch. Everyone's upset that Lisa didn't show up since it was like a girls' trip and it was supposed to be kind of like that first trip after reunion to kind of get everyone back in good graces or at least talking. Um, and Bronwyn, like, it's because of the lawsuits. She don't want to show her face because she's embarrassed. Now, I probably was one of the people in the off season that didn't hear about these lawsuits, but apparently they're a pretty big deal. And Lisa may or may not have been ashamed of them. Brittany tells the group that she has an announcement. Once again, as soon as she stood up and said she had an announcement, I was like, I already I already knew whatever she was about to say was about to be some foolishness. So I don't even know why they gave her the space to speak, but I guess it's like nice that they give her the space to speak, even though she ain't saying nothing. But she announces that her and her man got engaged, and then they also got engaged to unengaged. Sorry, they got engaged and then unengaged 2 weeks later. I'm like, what? Stop miking this girl up. Bravo, you hear me? Stop miking her up. We do not want to hear from her. We are tired. Okay, me. It's me. I'm tired. I don't like her. And I don't know why. Maybe she's not that bad. Y'all tell me what y'all think, but she be on my last nerve. Um, Anyways, so they're Whitney then tells her, like, I see Jared at my gym all the time taking different women out on dates. So I'm like, girl, either I mean, Jared or whatever, he does indulge her because we see them together. So she's not completely crazy because men will do that to you. They will drag you along, but they will not like you. Why? Who knows? But they do it. Um but yeah, so then they Angie planned for some of the girls to go fly fishing and some of the girls to go kayaking. So the girls who go kayaking are Bronwyn, Heather, and Whitney, and then everyone else goes fly fishing. And Bronwyn's like, "Oh, I'm really excited to talk to Heather to see if we can kind of mend or repair our relationship," which it seemed like they did. They got into the kayak because there was a solo kayak and a double kayak, and it seems like they kind of got into the kayak and were on good terms, which I was like, wow. I feel like, this is my opinion, Heather is so far up Lisa's butt that she can't like anybody that Lisa doesn't like. And so because Lisa has a problem with Bronwyn, she has a problem with Bronwyn. But since Lisa's not there, then she's able to be cordial with Bronwyn because she doesn't have her, puppet master telling her not to like her or to be mean to her. And it's funny because I really liked Heather in season 1 and season 2. But as time went on, you realize that Heather is just, you know, she's like a lot of us, maybe not me so much, but she just wants to fit in with the popular girls and have them like her. And it almost seems like, despite being a grown woman, Lisa is that popular girl. And then the fact that they knew each other since high school, it kind of plays a role probably in why she still is like stuck in that. And then I also think Utah isn't a big enough place to get away from it. Like, I feel like if Heather wants to get away from that, she has to actually leave Utah. And I mean, for what? She wouldn't leave, but it's just, yeah, she's still stuck in that high school popular girl, whatever Lisa says goes era. Um, Anyways, the ladies are forced to cook their own dinner, which Mary doesn't want to do and doesn't do. But that's one thing I like about Mary. When she says she's not gonna do something, she's not gonna do it. And y'all not gonna force her, bully her, shame her. She's not going to do it. She just doesn't want to. And I kind of appreciate it's like a little annoying because you're like, okay, girl, come just cook the dinner. But at the same time, I appreciate it. She's firm in what she says. I'm not gonna do that. I don't want to do that. And then she don't do it. Everyone else is like, oh, dude, I don't, but Mary's like, no, I'm not gonna do that, and I kind of like that. Um, it looks like Angie forgot a bunch of stuff for the food. Like, honestly, why are y'all there? Go home. That campsite was raggedy to begin with. Um, but then Heather and not Heather. Yeah, Heather tells the story about Mary Sorensen. I feel like The whole episode, she kept on trying to bring it up. She asked like one of the guys at the kayak, she kept on trying to say it. And I feel like people kept like ignoring her about that Mary Sorensen stuff. But finally, she was able to tell the story. Now, it's an old story about a Mormon lady that really wasn't that scary, nor was it that entertaining. But I'm glad she got that story off because it seemed like it was really important for her. Um, so then the ladies are talking, around the campfire, and Heather says that she and Bronwyn are okay. And Angie jokes like, "Oh, maybe you guys are getting along because Lisa isn't here," which obviously, duh. And she's like, "No, that's not it." And then Brittany, because she always has to interject at points that make no sense, brings up the fact that she has an issue with Whitney saying that she was having sex for money. And honestly, the comment was made like in passing, I think, in the RV, but like, girl, nobody's concerned about you. Nobody cares what you do. You can have sex for money. You may not be having sex for money. No one cares. And the fact that you brought it up was the only reason anyone remembered that it was said in the first place. Like, um, I don't even remember what's going on. But then Whitney starts talking about how her business venture with Justin failed and that they're struggling and that things have been hard. And Brittany, once again, is like, "I'm sorry to hear that, Whitney. However, I too want an apology for you saying that I had sex for money or whatever." And it's like, girl, these people are having a ball. And here you come just showing up. No one wants to see you. But, she's just trying to get her own little snowflake. And I don't blame her. I mean, I do, but also I get it. You're right there. You're a friend of. You're like, "Hand me the snowflake," and they not handing it over. So you trying to up the ante a little bit to get your snowflake, and it's not doing what it needs to do. So who knows? Um, Mare tells Brittany to give it a rest, of course, and so they start trying to go back and forth. And she was like, "Meredith, you and I were such good friends, and whatever." And she's like, "Girl, we have only spoken twice on the phone. We are not cool. Like, we are not friends. I don't know why you think so." Um, and she was like, "Okay, yeah, maybe." So why were you trying to pretend like there was more to y'all friendship? But either way, Heather brings the conversation back to Molly Sorensen. And so then the ladies go out and investigate and they walk around in the dark. And that's pretty much how the episode ends, with like the camcorder shaking, like they in Paranormal Activity or some. What is that movie when they out in the woods? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the movie. I don't watch scary movies, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. Like, the one where the camera's shaking and everybody's out in the woods. Oh, I can't think of the name right now. And it won't come to me because, again, I am not a horror movie buff. But yeah, but that's pretty much how the episode ends. And I thought, to be honest, that episode, for a come out episode for episode one, it was a little lackluster. I don't think enough happened um, for that to be a good season premiere. I don't know. But again, I was willing to watch episode two. So let's get into it. Um, they were still at the campsite. They wake up. Bronwyn is cooking breakfast, but she cooking them steaks poorly. Mary is like, "Oh, I don't want you to cook nothing for me." But some people just don't know how to cook. And one thing I like about Bronwyn, and I know a lot of you guys don't like the girl or like had a problem with her, is I feel like she's very honest. Like, I don't know how to cook. So like in her little confessional, she'd be like, "Hey, I did my best, or I do this or do that." So I like Bronwyn. I think she's very relatable despite being wealthy, right? As relatable as you could be in that tax bracket. Um, Heather talks about her youngest daughter moving out and that she's happy she could be done with that era of her life. And she was talking about how her husband only came to see the girls once a week, and shitty father, man. like, not you showing up once a week. Like, they couldn't even get the weekend or something. Like, where did he go? Did he get remarried? I mean, I feel like we don't know enough about her ex-husband, probably by design, but Um, and Bronwyn goes on to say, like, oh, I can't believe you're happy to have her out. Like, my daughter, I just moved her boyfriend in because I really don't want her to leave. And Heather feels offended by that. But to be honest, when I heard what Heather said, it sounded bad. I don't know if it was like the cut or the way it was played or whatever. But saying that you're happy to be done with that era of your life sounds like you ready to be done with your kids. Like, and it was very, very weird to me. I didn't really like how it sounded. I don't think, I know that's not what she intended as she explained more, but it sounded like that. And then when Bronwyn said what she said, I don't think it was like it to me again. It also didn't sound like she was trying to be offensive, like, "Oh, you're such a bad mom. You done with that?" But it sounded more like, "Wow, like it's so crazy how everyone can be so different." Because I'm trying to get more time, and you're kind of like, "Okay, the kids are grown. Let's let them blossom into whatever they need to blossom into." And but Heather was offended. But again, I feel like Heather wants to be offended because she doesn't like Bronwyn. Like if that came out of Lisa's mouth, she would have been like, "No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah." So I just think, you know. Anyways, Whitney's talking about how she wants to be a stay-at-home mom, but because her company failed, she needs to work more. And I'm like, every time I think of Whitney and her business, I always think of her saying Alibaba. And I'm like, what is Alibaba? I don't know. I think did she mean AliExpress when she was talking about the jewelry last season? But every time she would say Alibaba, I would cackle because for some reason her saying that word was hilarious to me. Um, but anyways, they asked Mary about her son and how he's doing and how she's dealing with everything. And she says she's trying her best and that her son has good days and bad days and you know, she says, I give the women with more than one kid props because I have one and I'm struggling. And it's quite interesting, I think. Again, I don't know anything about Mary's relationship with her son. Um, I don't know anything about how he grew up. But you do wonder, like, was there a change since she's been on the show? Has that played a role, or is it just growing up and with age with the dad or his step grandfather, father moving out? Did that play a role? Like that dynamic of knowing that, did that play a role? Like, or step great grandfather? Is that what he would be? Because he was Mary's step grandfather. So he'd be his step great grandfather and dad. But I guess he wasn't alive when, I don't know. Honestly, those things mess with people. So I don't know, but it might have played a role in why but we don't know. I do wish him the best. So I like to see, I hate that her son is going through that, but I do like to see those vulnerable moments with Mary. Um, Anyways, they're leaving the campsite and the RV gets stuck. So all the ladies get out to help and push, but not all because Mary will not and does not. And I love that she stands on business. Um, then we see, like, they show the clips of everybody just kind of living, like, Meredith with Sad, Angie with her Electra, Whitney with her daughter or her kids. And then we see Heather's driving to meet with Lisa because, of course, she lives in Lisa's skin. She goes to debrief her about what happened and said that, like, Bronwyn was there to annihilate you. And honestly, I feel like Heather's real fake for that because like it wasn't like that. Like I feel like Bronwyn was making little snide comments, but it wasn't her sole intention. It wasn't like, oh, I came here to get Lisa back. I'm finna put all her shit on Front Street. Like, no, this is what's happening, and everybody kind of already knows. She just keeps bringing it up on camera, basically, which again, everybody knows you got to put stuff on camera. You can't just let the stuff happen. It has to get on camera too. Um, but yeah, and then she asked, Lisa basically asked, she's like, oh, though it's a baseless case, like, and then she's like asking who defended her. Now, this is where things get interesting because Heather basically says that she was the only one to defend her and Meredith was quiet. When I feel like I watched episode one, Brittany actually seemed like the person that was so gung ho to defend Lisa. I'm not saying Heather didn't, and I feel like Meredith was like, let's not talk about it. But, Meredith is always going to be like that. She not really fighting to defend anyone for real. She just says, let's not talk about it. Let's this. And Brittany seemed like she was defending Lisa, and Heather kind of was like in the middle. But to kind of put it like, well, oh, girl, I was the only person that had your back there. Girl, you fake. Because no, you did not. Not even like that. And Lisa's like, all the cases were dismissed, they're baseless, like I was saying. And she was like, I live such a different life from all the rest of you guys. And it's funny because as soon as she says that and she's talking like that, you could see Heather getting irritated. And Heather even mentions it like, why does she always try to other herself from us? Like her life is not all that different. And I'm like, so you see where she has her issues and why people don't really get along with her, but you still hear kiss it ass. I don't get it. I feel like I'm missing something. And the thing about Lisa is I'm not a big fan of her, but again, I like that she is who she is. She's not kissing nobody ass. She is who she is. But it's weird to me that Heather feels the need to kiss her ass. Um, but anyways, Lisa says she wants to dissect everyone's life and get back at them. And it's just weird. Like, girl, Lisa, you got caught up in whatever mess scandal that you've been trying to hide. And now it's your turn. Just like everyone's had their turn, it's your turn now. Um, Whitney meets up with Bronwyn. They go skiing and snowboarding. Bronwyn was happy that she got to talk with Heather. She's like, I'm just really sad that I feel like she took what I said the wrong way when I wasn't really trying to offend her, like with the comment about her daughter staying with her. Um, then she talks about the lawsuit, in which the lawsuit is basically Lisa had a man opened up a credit card in Lisa's name, but he was paying the debts of the card. And ultimately, John did not know that Lisa had this additional credit card in this man's or in her name, but being paid off by this man. And basically, now the man wants his money back. Interesting. Um, Anyways, we see Mary with her son, and he says he feels like he's at a standstill, and but he's not in a dark space, but he still feels scared because he feels like he has to change. Um, he said he's gotten away from his friends that were partying, but he also feels isolated, and you know, he's trying to get the stimuli that he was getting from partying from food. But it's also interesting because he's actually still smoking weed. So, it's sad because I'll be honest, and I hope you guys don't take this the wrong way. But I have a very hard time when Robert speaks because he has this way of speaking that's so like long and drawn out. And I really just want him to get to the point. And I don't know if that's just how he talks or if maybe it's the drug use or whatever. But I'd be like, get to it, my friend. Say what you gotta say. Or maybe it was just because it was hard for him to say because he didn't want to tell his mom he was still using drugs, which I can imagine is very hard, especially when your mom is literally fighting tooth and nail to get you to a healthier space. But I do think that I'm glad that he was able to kind of reflect on how he's feeling and kind of walk through that with his mother because it's probably really, really tough to not only have the conversation, but then have it with your mother. And, because you don't want her to be mad, you want her to love you, you want her to support you. And, I'm glad that Mary has created a space safe enough for him to feel like he can come to her and speak to her, regardless of maybe she's disappointed or mad, but he knows she's not going to treat him any different or love him any different. So I think, like I said, these moments with Mary and her son really, really opened to my eyes to how, you know, genuine of a person Mary can be. And I like that. I mean, it sucks that she doesn't show that side more with her friends. But baby steps. um, but yeah, and I love that she talked about leaning back off her son and not helicoptering him because she doesn't want to put too much additional pressure on him. I was like, how sweet. But yeah, Bronwyn and Heather meet. And honestly, there's a part of me that feels that Heather hates Bronwyn for her wealth. Like, and not in the way like she, because Bronwyn is supposed to be Mormon. I don't know if she's still Mormon, but I feel like she might feel like Bronwyn cheated her way to the top or something, or, and she doesn't deserve it. She doesn't deserve what she has. She doesn't deserve the life. And the fact that Bronwyn is actually also kind of cool, like she's actually kind of a cool girl, which you would think she would just get along with her and like her, but they just can't seem to get along. Um, but Bronwyn tries to explain her position about the comments she made. And Heather is saying that she heard it, but it sounded like a lot of word salad. Um, and then she confronts her about Lisa, and they start going back and forth. And Heather's like, "Oh, I'm just tired of it. Let's just call it even. I have no problem with you. You don't have no problem with me, blah, 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 blah." But it's like, girl, you started it. You came for her. And she responded. Now y'all bickering and you over it. Girl, rest. Okay. I don't know. Um, anyway, so this lady Amy is having a party and she's like one of Utah's biggest socialites. So everyone gets there and all the ladies are there, and of course Lisa shows up last. Um and she's like, the ladies are like vultures, they're trying to destroy your life, and she lives her life out in the open and she has no secrets. And it's like, no one can destroy your life if you don't have stuff in your closet. If there were no skeletons in your closet, there would be nothing for people to talk about. So you can't say your life is out in the open, but a man has proved that he's been paying for your stuff with a credit card. That, well, your credit card technically, but he's been paying the bill. So, you know, um, and she's mad. So she goes over, she comes in, she doesn't really say hi to Angie. Angie's like, okay, well, what's going on? She goes to Meredith. Meredith's like, hey, a lot was said, a lot happened. And Brittany comes over and goes, yeah, Angie compared you to Jen Shaw. And like, okay, yeah, Jen Shaw is in jail. What she did was wrong, whatever, what have you. But like, clearly Angie was joking. It, I mean, maybe it's in poor taste, but it was still just a joke. And, you know, basically Angie comes over, you know, um, that she needs to talk, like, and they're going back and forth, Angie and Lisa. Angie's like, hey, it's a joke, whatever, what have you. Like, it wasn't even supposed to be nothing like that. And Bronwyn comes over and was like, hey, you're not even really mad at Angie. Like, you're going back and forth with Angie, but you're mad at me. So let's talk. Let's figure out what's up. So they're going back and forward. And Lisa's like, at first she's like, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you. But they going back and forth. And then she starts calling Bronwyn a gout dick sucker. That was probably one of the worst reads, if you can even call it that I think I've heard on the show in a long time. Because what? A gout dick sucker? Girl, no. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. It didn't land. Bronwyn ignored it. Everybody was like, what? Here comes Whitney talking about, I didn't even know you can get gout in your dick. She's like, I thought it was in the feet. So it's just a lot. And they going back and forth, but Bronwyn is like, girl, you can yell, you could call me all these things, but you got this lawsuit you need to clear up. And that's a fact. That is what it is. That needs to be discussed. That needs to be figured out. And all this back and forth ain't even relevant if you ain't figured out that. And I was like, because correct, no one cares. Like, she can suck as much gout peen as she wants to. It is not going to change the fact that you got this lawsuit. You know what I mean? So she was like, "You're dumb. You don't know anything. Did you even go to school? You're not a lawyer." You don't have to be a lawyer to be able to read. And the lawsuit is a public record that she was able to read. So when she read the facts of the case, again, now it's up to you and your lawyer to hash it out and figure out what's correct in court. But the documents are there and they're public and people can read them. So, Lisa, you might be mad and you might not like it, but it is what it is. And so they're going back and forth, and she's getting so mad and she's getting so worked up. And Brahma was like, "You can get as worked up as you want, but that lawsuit's still there and you still got to answer to it." And Lisa gets so mad and so worked up that she actually has to walk away. And that's pretty much how the episode ends. But you know that Bronwyn was correct and was getting under her skin because one, she wasn't reacting, and two, she was correct. The facts of the case are the facts of the case. Like, whether you like it or not, I mean, it's up to you to defend it or defend your position, but those facts are there. And you could start raising your voice at me, you could call me a gout disser, but that does not change nothing. And it also shows the fact that Lisa walked away. Guilt is consuming her. I think the guilt is consuming her. There is a part of her that knows what she did, whatever's going on, is wrong. And yeah, I don't know. This episode was definitely way more interesting than the first. Um, so I'm gonna tune in for episode 3 for sure. But tell me how you guys think the season is going. Who are we liking? Who are we not liking? I know sometimes you start a season liking somebody and end up not liking them, or start a season not liking someone and end up liking them. So far, I think Whitney has come in real mild. Meredith has kind of flown under the radar. Heather is up to her old antics. Lisa actually has a lot of drama surrounding her, which is crazy. Angie is coming in a little mild as well. Uh, Bronwyn's coming in hot, but I like it. Brittany, girl, bye. Mary, she doing her Mary thing, her little snide comments where she comes in and has a little one or two liner. I like it. I think I mentioned everyone. Yeah. So tell me what you guys think in the comments. Please leave comments, like this video, share it with your friends, and I will see you guys back next week. Bye.